I've just remembered. Oh yes, Santa Fe. In New York, when I had the gallery, it was the custom then, and I think it's diminished nowadays. The summer doesn't affect it as much, but in the summer the galleries would close. And I thought, that's why I went to Spoleto originally. And then I thought, well, the Santa Fe Opera is about to open the new opera house that Robert Tobin happily helped rebuild. Will be opening, and I think this will be fascinating to go to see the new house. So I arranged with David II to come with me. He's the one I brought from Sicily. And there's this David dynasty in the book. I kept rather careful care of that. So I went to Margaret Jameson's gallery, which was supposed to be the best in town, and she looked at the things and she said, it's not for my gallery. They're lovely, they're very saleable, but my friend Bernie and Bill, they have a gallery that it'll be perfect for you. So I went to see them, and sure enough, the space was lovely. We got along fine. The show was a great success. The opera opened, I opened, the paintings went into collectors, and again, Robert Tobin came, I'll buy that. So, the next year, I came back to Santa Fe, but differently. By this time, I had been to living in Europe a lot. I had closed down my New York gallery. I had a few bruises, black and blue bruises around the heart, and I decided I need to go to the land of enchantment. And I called Margaret, and she said, I would so appreciate it if you would take over the operation of my gallery. Because she had seen me in the auction world, she had seen my New York gallery and blah, 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 and she saw what I did with the Santa Fe. So I came to Santa Fe again, and this time I moved here. It wasn't just with my underwear and drawings, it was with some furniture. And I looked at her blue chip art, and I said, that's wonderful. And I looked around town, and it was a lot of schlock, and there's still a lot of schlock around town. This gallery's not one of them. But I noticed, first of all, Fritz Scholder was about to make his name in the world, and so was R.C. Gorman. But I noticed young artists that had no real recognition at all, and that the only way they would be to go to New York or Los Angeles. And I looked at their work, and it really was dynamic, beautiful, fantastic. And I thought, this should be acknowledged. And Margaret Jameson said, oh, we don't handle that sort of thing. I said, no one does in town, but I think we should. And I said, why don't we compromise? Why don't we have a Christmas show of the young unknowns? We did, and it was a great success. Fritz Scholder followed with a big show. He was a great success, and I was very pleased because the Denver Art Museum had just been rebuilt by the Italian designer whose name I'm not going to even search for, but we were going to the opening of that, and the director came to Santa Fe to see what paintings would be included in the opening. And now that I was pushing Fritz Scholder, I said, and I arranged with Fritz that I would buy this painting in particular, and I sold the idea to the director that he have it in the opening of the Denver Art Museum. Now, there's a bit of cleverness behind all of this Machiavellian activity. If I'm going to own that painting, listen collectors, have a provenance that sings. What could be better than owning a painting that was at the opening of the Denver Art Museum? So, the only trouble is, it went there, but one Thanksgiving morning I looked out at the mountain and I said, skiing! But my skis haven't arrived yet, never mind, I'll rent them. And I usually had 2 drinks before I left the house. That day I had none. And I rented skis and didn't even, because I didn't have enough going in my head, those 2 drinks were still sitting at home, I didn't try the bindings. Well, guess what? I had a severe break my first run down the mountain. Stone sober! And 3 severe spiral breaks. So it was to the hospital. And Fritz Scholder's wife was my nurse. So anyhow. after a bit of getting on my feet, but crutches, and there were going to be crutches for a long time, and wheelchair and what have you, it was really severe. And my first thought was not, I will never walk again properly. My first thought was, I'll never waltz again properly, because I loved waltzing more than anything. So anyhow, I decided after some months, and Margaret couldn't bear having me around with the crutches, the wheelchair, and well, I was not a sight for sore eyes, you know. I was a sore sight for good eyes, I suppose. But anyhow, we decided I would throw in the towel, go back east. My friend Isabel, who was a very zany woman, who taught me to drink in the morning without guilt. Said, oh, come along, darling, this is a floor through on Fifth Avenue. The maid is here to take care of you. There are no stairs. Come along, don't stay there. Come and visit. Come, move in. So I did. And the first thing I did, I walked through the door into the marble hallway, and my crutches slid out from under me because the cleaning woman, the maid, had just waxed the floors. So anyhow, where do we go from there? I started doing exhibitions now in New York, and it always pays to network, no matter what you're doing. One of my theater designers had been very friendly. He designed for Dame Joan Sutherland, and he and his wife became very friendly with Dame Joan and Richard Bonning, Maestro, and sometimes went off to visit with them. And he said, you know, it's amazing. She has, I don't remember, it was 18 or 22 costumes, gowns made for her specifically for the role she does. Does anyone here have any idea why someone would do a thing like that?
Collector.
No one. Well, Dame Joan was not exactly the perfect figure. She had rather strange proportions, and she needed to feel confident in how she looked. And it was worth it to her. She also was the highest paid singer at the time. She was not exactly going on food stamps, is what I'm saying. She had Jose Verona and other people designing gowns that fit her perfectly, that she knew she looked her best in, and that she also knew, imagine a prima donna going, say, to Rome opera. Has that gown been cleaned? Even if it fits me and I look good, what condition is it in? She knew that she was traveling with attractive, making gowns of good quality that were clean and presentable. It boosted her ego and gave her confidence in her performance. And guess what? All tax deductible. So it made perfect sense. Anyhow, I wrote her a letter saying that I knew about her gowns, and I had conceived of an exhibition to be done in the main galleries of the Library for the Performing Arts in New York on Lincoln Center. And it would be 25 years from the life of Dame Joan Sutherland, using her gowns and other things like fans, jewelry. I did and I used photographs of her in the gowns. First of all, I had the original design, how the designer wanted it to look, and then how it looked through photographs with her wearing it. And then there would be programs, there would be paraphernalia that would make the exhibition very complete. And the director of the Library for the Performing Arts endorsed it heavily, said, go, great. There's another thing. You know, when you move into a place, museum or library of any stature, those people there are very nervous when you come in and do a major exhibition. Here I'm curating this, and I go to all the trouble of, Pablum fed the publicity department how to say it, how to word things. I did the press releases, promotion in general, and the staff would purposely cut, when we were mounting the exhibition, cut the hours that we could put the gowns up and steam them. They would close down to be an impediment in my progressing to make the exhibition work. And then when I got the labels to them, and the labels had miswording, they did nothing to fix it. It was just uphill, and it was out of jealousy that they weren't, this was their territory and I was stepping on their toes. But the exhibition was a sensational success. Dame Joan and Ricky Bonning said that they heard nothing but yays about it. It was absolutely fabulous, and they wrote such letters of congratulations about it. So here you have a collection within a collection. You have Dame Joan collecting her gowns, and me collecting the designs and all the paraphernalia around it to make it an exhibition of her life. I was going to do a book about it after the exhibition closed, and they meaning Joan and Richard Bonning, said, what a wonderful idea for posterity to have this done. But I had been involved with a little accident. I had come from a formal reception, and someone had come back to my place to have dinner, supper. It was quite about midnight, and I thought I'd heat water in a pressure cooker. I'd never used a pressure cooker before. And I'd taken off my formal attire and put on a silk dressing gown, thin, paper thin, and I opened that pressure cooker without releasing the air, and there's boiling water. Happily I had the cover where my face was, but the right side of my body was burned. And I saw, and believe me, time has different meanings, because I had a very expensive bottle of red wine in my hand, and it was dropping, and I saw it go slowly, slowly, slowly. It was not the usual perception of time. I said, don't break, don't break, don't break. But in the meantime, I'm burned. So anyhow, off to the emergency room. So I put off getting the book written and printed. And in the meantime, darling Dame Joan wrote the book behind my back and had it published before I got to it. So I wrote her a kind note of congratulations and what a wonderful job. It's too bad you didn't mention me any place in it. And would you send a copy? By this time I had a performing arts festival. I had more than a festival, it was more than 22 years of, I called it Apollo Muses. It was the Center for the Arts. It was a performing arts center. And I wanted her to send the book to the library we had, but nothing ever happened. But before the incident of taking the show down and this book going on, I don't think I need these glasses on, so I'm having my picture taken. I had arranged for a luncheon to celebrate the ending of the exhibition, and Dame Joan said she would come to it. Ricky and Dame Joan would be there. I had the mayor of New York's niece footing the bill for the luncheon, which was very nice. We had very glamorous people coming in attendance. Oh, and ABC, CBS, and NBC all were covering it. The famous Italian designer, I'm having trouble with his name. He wrote the foreword to, one of the people who wrote the foreword to the book, and he was coming, and it was all stellar. Everything was fabulous about this farewell luncheon to the exhibition ending and the success of it. And then my phone rings, and it's Dame Joan saying, in her Australian voice, how sorry she was that she wouldn't come after all. Because Beverly, that's Beverly Sills, they were appearing together in Deflatormouse in San Diego. Beverly assured her that it was too tiring to fly east and then go back, although Beverly was doing it. So I sensed that there was a little bit of, I wish Beverly had better intentions there, and usually she did, I thought. But anyhow, she convinced Dame Joan not to come, so Franco Zeffirelli was the man who was coming, that everyone knows. So I had to tell NBC, CBS, and ABC, too bad, but it would have really put that on the map very nicely. Anyhow, her book came out and it's sold at the Met gift shop, what have you, and I don't have a copy, and my name doesn't appear in it. But that's life.